Okay, so the first thing you'd want to do is you want to go into your Google Drive and you want to look for Google Forms. So you see where it says Forms here? It's a purple icon. When I click on the icon, they're going to give you several options. Do you all see blank quiz there, though? Okay, so I think the newest version of Chrome should give you blank quiz. It used to be where you could choose a form and then you'd have to make it a quiz option. There's exit tickets, there's worksheets, there's assessments. They all kind of function the same way. But if I open the quiz feature, okay, you should have a blank quiz starting from scratch. First thing, if you want to play around with the color, I know we like to do that, but there's a little color palette up here. Purple, through Google Forms. So if I go back here, it should say blank form, blank quiz. We want to choose the blank quiz option. Oh, yeah. And then I changed mine to green, but again, this might be more of a classroom management thing. If you want to easily be able to see the banner, you might go red. That is up to you. That's color palette. Yep, it's right here at the top. I know my screen's a little small. Next thing, though, very important, is the settings. I would recommend doing that first. Since all of our students have Gmail addresses, you do want to collect email addresses, so you want to check that off. I collected all of yours on that last quiz. I'm guessing most of you guys want to limit it to one, but if you want to give kids a second chance, you could. I check off limit to one. If you want to send out the email and let them edit it, like test corrections or whatnot, there are those options. I don't choose any of the bottom ones. Okay? Questions about that? Response receipts just means that the kids are going to get an email that says that they took the quiz. Okay, yep, no problem. So that is up to you if you want to give the kids a response receipt. The next part, this is why I say if you click on presentation, is you probably don't want to number your questions because you can shuffle your questions. I did not do that for you guys, but you are obviously able to do that. Progress bar tells them 4 out of 6 complete. So I did not choose that for you, but you may choose that for students. I do recommend it. Okay, so I check off those options. The third one, though, for quizzes. You do want to make sure, it should already be here, but that it is highlighted red, make this a quiz. This is one of the most important things. So do you want them to get their grade immediately? I would not have had to check all your names off. It would have just automatically emailed you your grade if you choose immediate. Okay. I recommend every single time, though, to choose manual because you never know. So I choose later after manual review, and then it's up to you. What do you want them to see? You can actually, if you don't want your questions to get out, uncheck all of these. All they get is really a number score at that point. Those are up to you. If it's a classwork homework assignment, maybe you do want to show them the missed questions, the correct answers, and the point values. I would do all three, but that's just me. If you want to conceal it and just give them their grade, you could do that as well and then go over it the next day in class, right? So that's an option. So those are my suggested settings, but does anybody have questions about that? I also restrict East Longmeadow users, but it doesn't. That's if a kid's personal email, they're mistakenly logged in, it'll reject their quiz, and then they have to log in through East Longmeadow. Okay, so that's more administrative. So I save that. And then you want to give your quiz a title. So next thing you want to do is click up here in the very top left corner and erase the words blank quiz. And then, I don't know, today during the student engagement portion, you guys can create whatever you want, of course. So if you're doing a science quiz on parts of the cell, you could create that. You just give it a name. I do section numbers, like section 1.1, something along those lines. So it's up to you what you want to name your quiz. Let's just use our Boston Red Sox trivia again. And you could do the exact same name here where you see blank quiz in bigger letters. You want to cross that out or erase it. And you put your title once more. Okay. So that is the title. Now back in your Google folder, that's what you're going to see as the title, just like mine was Fun Teacher Trivia. You may want to make a folder. That's not what this presentation is about, but if you have English 9 quizzes, a folder that says English 9 quizzes. I have one that says Standard Psychology Quizzes, and then I put all of these into that same folder. Okay, it's easy to find. Form description is your instructions, so please, and this is up to you, choose the best answer. Be sure to answer all questions however you want to word it. It warns the students that it's going to be automatically collected, you see there. You can change that setting, but you don't have to. And then I think this is coming down the line from Google, but I think they're going to allow you to import your Word documents pretty soon, and it's just going to create the quiz for you, which would be unbelievable. However, at this point, we need to type them in, right? So, untitled question, remember, do not put a number 1 or 2. It's not worthwhile. How many World Series championships have the Red Sox won? Now again, you guys are going to be punching in your own questions for your quizzes. Okay, so the question part is pretty easy. Now there's all these different options. So you have the graphic option here. This is going to add a picture like you saw on the student quiz. And you need to choose an image to upload, or you can do it by URL. So what I would do before I went into this is I would find my Boston Red Sox picture. We have what's called open source here at the public schools. So let's say you like this one. Just like you do for, our kids would do for projects, things along those lines. You could right click and save the image to your desktop. That's typically what I do. And I would call it Red Sox. Now back in the quiz, I would just click on this little picture icon, choose an image to upload, go to my desktop, and I'd find my Red Sox picture. Google makes you import everything. You cannot copy and paste into Google. Kids find that out pretty early on in the school year. Then you can resize it. So if you guys want to make it big, small, let's say it's a picture of the cell, right, on a science class, you may want it bigger, I don't know. But you guys can make it as big as you want. And you can align it how you'd like. There's these little 3 dots here. Do you want it to be center, left, or right? I put them in all different places on your quiz so you could kind of see. For students, though, with cognitive or for cognition, it's probably best to keep it all the same, even though I kind of messed it up on yours. So that is a multiple choice style question, probably the most common, right? Then you just go with your options. So down below, you can do 3. Click on it, 4. Click on it, 7. Click on it, 8. Now, of course, your options might be more detailed than this, but this is just to show you. You can put more than those. You're not just limited to 4 options. Obviously, that's standard. But here's the most important part for the quiz feature now is the answer key. So you as the teacher can now go into the answer key. By the way, I always click required unless for some reason you don't want that question to be required. A lot of times I see it as a bonus, right? If you want to give a bonus but the kid doesn't have to answer it, you don't have to click required. But this will basically reject their quiz and say you have not answered question number 3 and it's a required question, so it's really good. Remember, a lot of kids leave them blank, right, on quizzes, on paper quizzes, so it actually helps with that. Answer key, if you want to click on answer key, correct answer is 8, surprisingly. And then here's what's really important, so let me go slow here. Click on the right answer, it's going to highlight in green. You could give feedback, so you could tell them why the answer is 8, because they were really good 100 or so years ago. And then it's up to you how many points you want to make it. If you have a 10-question quiz, you make them all worth 1. It's basically going to be out of 100, each one worth 10 points. You could make it worth 5, it's up to you. But if you don't click on those things, it's not going to automatically grade it for you. So it's important to double check. And then after that, I always hit edit question again. But you are pretty much done with question 1. Okay. So what you should see is a little star when you're all done that basically tells the student that is required. Now, if you want to add a next question, you see the little plus sign on the right. So you would hit the plus sign, and then question 2 is going to pop up. However, again, you do not want to number them because it's just going to confuse the kids if you choose to mix up the questions. And then we could do different option or style questions. Multiple choice, obviously the most common. But for you English teachers, of course, if you want to do paragraph, short answer, you can choose to do that. And then you can put in whatever. You know, hopefully we don't have any Yankees fans in here. You can require that now for English teachers. If you want a writing piece, the answer key, you could make it out of 5 instead of out of 1 if it's a little bit longer. Okay. And then you get to pick when you get the submission, whether it's worth 3, 4, 5. You get to choose how many points that they've earned. And later on, once they've submitted it to you, you can add more feedback. So don't worry about putting feedback in here. Okay. So then I go back to edit question. And it just continues down the line. Now you can add things like a picture in the middle of your questions, or basically sections. So if you had 2 different sections to your quiz, you would choose this little option which says add section, but I found that just tends to confuse kids because they're like, why is this section here in the middle? So unless it's really well explained as to why there's a new section, it's thrown some kids off in the past. The video piece, if you guys wanted to add a video, you actually do have to add it separately from the questions. That's why the Mass Live video was above the question, and then it said use the video to answer this. So you could add a video. You just simply have to put in the URL or search. You can actually search YouTube right here. Okay. Or if you already know your URL, you can just paste it right into the URL box.
Is it only for YouTube?
No, you can get a URL from any site.
YouTube URL.
Yeah, so no, it'll accept any URL, even outside of YouTube, but Google and YouTube, of course, are one and the same. So they're going to allow you to search YouTube right from your quiz feature, which is nice. And then you can pick one that might work for you. So if you want to flip the classroom and you want to assign this as a homework, that might be a good idea to use this feature. But I'm telling you, it's a lot easier than coming back in and collecting 30 papers once you have the 30 responses. And you can click through it pretty fast and give them a score and then get them their feedback really fast as well. Go ahead, Liz.
Things I know about YouTube is if you do that URL feature, if you're in YouTube, there's a way to embed it so the comments, the ads, and everything
Yes.
pop up. So you get a much safer video to embed if you do by YouTube rather than
Absolutely.
grab it off of the list.
Right, yeah. You definitely want to try and keep it within YouTube, but you may want to search it first outside of this and then find the URL that you want. Okay, so those are some of the options, but I'm basically out of time in terms of my presentation portion because I wanted to give you guys a chance to kind of work on your own. So if there's different types of questions you want to add and you want to ask me about, like the check boxes, I'm happy to come around. But really our goal today is for you guys to leave with a quiz, either starting a quiz or completing one before you go. So if you have a quiz from your particular content area that you want to try online, it never hurts to just try it with the kids and see how it works out and see if you like the functionality of it. But once again, it works for a lot of kids. Doesn't work for everybody. So I will come around and help you guys. And I will leave this up in case you have any questions.